Hi, I'm Dr. Ben Newman. I'm a coronavirus researcher, and I'm going to try my best to answer your questions. Yeah, even the weird ones. Had a couple of those today. All right, next question is not weird at all. Yeah, it's actually from Amy, and how are you doing, Amy? Okay, so, hi, Dr. Ben. Somebody told me, the question starts, that the vaccine will not protect me against all the variants now. What? Yeah, why did I get a vaccine? Great question. Yeah. Yeah, good question. And I think, yeah, the person that gave you that advice, I don't know, maybe they're rounding off some corners so that you don't hurt yourself, or they think you need this, but the advice is not exactly correct. So we know that the vaccines protect a little bit less against some of the variants, particularly ones that are changed at this one position. It's called 484. And you find this change in several of the worst mutants. I believe India has it. I know South Africa and two of the Brazilian variants have it. And there are others. There's like a UK variant that also has that on top. I think there's a California variant that has that on top. So this is a thing that's popping up on a lot of backgrounds, and it seems to not really hurt the virus that much. It can still grab onto your cell, but it changes it sort of right in the middle of the place where a lot of antibodies would like to bind to stop the virus. And because of that, a lot of antibodies will bounce off. Not all antibodies, though. Definitely not. Yeah, you see reduced immunity to some extent. Like the vaccines work, yeah, a little bit less. Like you have to work twice as hard or something like that to get the same immunity against B117 UK variant. But there was a very nice paper that came out, and it showed that vaccine derived antibodies actually work pretty well against the India variant, and there have been equivalent papers for the South Africa variant. I haven't seen the papers for the Brazil variant, but I bet they are out there because I've seen a bunch of other papers, and that's just a gap in my knowledge. But yeah, it just means that a certain percentage of your neutralizing antibodies may not work. So, neutralizing antibodies are the ones that stop the first infection from happening. Even if the virus gets past neutralizing antibodies, we know that the vaccines will stop you from having all the other bad things happen, and they will lower the amount of virus that's inside you, which means that you are probably going to be much less likely to spread the virus to somebody else, even if you are in the very unlucky proportion that happens to get the virus after vaccination. But yeah, to put it into some kind of context, you see on these vaccine papers, they'll give you an antibody level. And I think the lowest antibody level they can measure is somewhere around 20. So that's like the floor. Less than 20 might as well be zero. We just can't measure it. When you get fully vaccinated, you'll actually go up to something like 1,000. And so we think that when you get down to maybe 20, or for the variants, might be somewhere around 40 or 50, that's when you're going to be in trouble. But if you're starting out at 1,000 or several thousand, there's really not going to be a problem. You're going to be okay, and it'll come down, 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 for a long time. I think the only thing to worry about with the variants is that there will be a need to probably get revaccinated a little bit sooner if the virus keeps changing in this particular way. But for now, yeah, you're actually fine. I think you're going to be protected. I think you're going to be all right. I think when people are talking about this, you would get scientists talking about it saying, this is a thing that concerns us because we know this is like ABC. And by the time we get to, LMNOP, and we've made all these different mutations, there may be a problem. It may, yeah, create difficulties for the vaccine. And we're also seeing kind of a sort of a dumbing down where you'll have a paper that says that it works nearly as well. It's but it's a little bit lower effect against one of the variants. And the thing that gets stripped off in making news stories or headlines, or like the first thing people will pay attention to, is often all the nuance. And so you'll just hear that the vaccine works less. And it's really easy to turn that into the binary. The vaccine doesn't work at all against the variants. And that's all that's happening. It's just you're taking a perfectly normal fact and running it through a series of human brains. I've always thought it would be pretty depressing but kind of interesting to give, let's say, a hour and 15-minute lecture, because that's how long the lectures are in Texas, to students, and then try to recreate the lecture from their memories and from their written notes. And I think, based on what I see on tests, I don't know if you would even have 5% of the lecture intact. It would probably be less than that. You may get a few key ideas, and that's about it. Humans are basically terrible at remembering details when they do not have an emotional attachment to the details. I very firmly believe that. And in my own life, it feels like it's probably true. And so, don't let that put you off. You did the right thing, and congratulations. Enjoy your immunity responsibly. Don't do stupid stuff, but it should be there protecting you for a while, I would hope. So there you go. That's it. You're actually all right. And thanks very much for asking a good question. And this has been Ask Dr. Ben.